Hey, my beautiful debt-free divas. We are back for the next step in the debt-free divas budget binder. Today, we're going to be talking about sinking funds. Now, if you can remember, I've got four main areas where I put my money. I have got my monthly recurring bills. That's things like my mortgage, my utility bill, my council tax. Those things have to be paid each and every month. Pretty much everything else sits for me inside a sinking fund. Sinking funds are for things like periodic but predictable expenses that I know I'm going to have in the year to go. So I got things like my car tax, my car insurance, my MOT, house insurance, of course, that needs to be paid, but also things like Christmas and birthdays. I know that I don't have Christmas every month, but I know that my life is so much easier if I save up to do Christmas rather than leave it to the last minute and try and find the money, because that, of course, is where we are tempted to go running for the credit card or looking for credit or robbing Peter to pay Paul. And that just sets us up for a whole world of hurt when we get into January and there's no money and it's dark and it's gloomy and life just sucks. So I like to have my periodic and predictable expenses set up in sinking funds. And usually when life is on a much even keel, everything would be on a sinking fund. I would have things like having a holiday next year, set up a sinking fund. As soon as we set the goal to go on holiday, we decide what our budget is going to be. We divide it by however many weeks we've got to go to, and that becomes the amount we set aside every week to pay for the holiday in cash, because we don't go into debt for anything. If we want a new car in the future, how many years ago, how many years away do we want to purchase a new car? How much is our budget going to be? We're going to break it down into how much we need to save now so that when the time comes to buy that new car, the money is there. Have you got a household account sinking fund for things like the fridge freezer breaking or the washing machine going on the fritz, or I need to buy a new microwave, or the shower stops working and I need to get a plumber in to put a new one in? Setting up a household account where you budget for repair or renovation of your home property each and every year, and set money aside every week or every pay period or every month to make sure that you've got the cash set aside. Now, at the moment, we're doing scorched earth. We are starting right from basics. I can't even begin to think about buying a new car because we're in debt. I'm not thinking about refurbishing this house or putting in a new kitchen or setting a new bathroom because we're in debt. We've got things we need to do to clear up our finances before we can begin to create sinking funds that are going to pay for those things to happen. Because sinking funds are you saving in advance for the things you want to do. That's what a budget does. A budget tells you where you can put your money in order to live the life that you want. Certain things have to be paid for. Your mortgage and your rent, your utilities, all that has to happen. But I don't have to have a new car. I don't have to have a new kitchen or a new bathroom, much as I would like one, until I've taken care of the financial hole that we're in. We're doing things step by step by step. Our first step is, of course, we are going to fill the £1,000 emergency fund. Until that happens, it's going to be a really short list of sinking funds, because we're only going to focus on one financial challenge at a time. You don't do everything all at once. When we're starting from scorched earth, we're looking to minimize our expenses. We're looking to take each and every penny that we can and throw that over into our emergency fund. When that emergency fund is funded, we can then look at overpaying our debts. When our debts are clear, we look at filling up our sinking funds. So at the moment, my sinking funds list, pretty short. It's only yep, this really has to happen stuff is getting put into sinking funds at the moment. When the emergency fund is funded, we'll come back and have a look at adding more sinking funds. When the debts are paid off, we will look at putting in the sinking funds for the real fun stuff. But we are not looking to go on holiday because we're in debt. We're not looking to buy a new car because we are in debt. We're not looking to move. We are not looking to refurb. We're not looking to landscape the garden because we are in debt. The only thing we're looking at doing just now is filling that emergency fund. And I mean every penny, absolutely every random penny. That's where it's going, because that's what my budget says. Every spare penny, every planned penny into the emergency fund. Let's get that filled as fast as possible so we can move on and deal with the rest of the stuff. So our basic list of sinking funds in our family at the moment happen to be things like our car tax. My car tax is due. Car tax is actually due in 37 weeks from now. It is £30 because I've got a very small car. It's pretty old, but it's pretty efficient. And the target date for that is the 6th of the 12th, 6th of December, which happens to be 37 weeks. So my plan, because I've got £30 to save in 37 weeks, I'm going to set aside £1 per week into my sinking fund for my car tax. I've also got car insurance that's due. Now, my car insurance is actually due in 2 weeks, and I have the money set aside for that. It's £180, but I need to save up for next year's car insurance. That's April 2023, £180, and that is going to be in the 14th of the 4th, 14th of April next year, which I'm going to call it 52 weeks, which gives me £3.50 that I need to save each and every week to make sure that when next time I need to write a check for car insurance, all of the money is there. Car MOT, I like to set aside £300 in my budget every year for my car MOT. Fortunately, that is not due until the 15th of December. That is 38 weeks from now. £300 divided by 38 weeks means that I need to set aside £8 per week in my sinking funds account. I've got house insurance that's due. Again, I like to play that all in a oneer rather than that being a monthly expenditure. House insurance is around about £400. Usually can wiggle it slightly less than that. And that is the 9th of the 9th, which is 24 weeks from now. 24 weeks into £400 gives me £17 per week that I need to make sure I'm putting away each and every week into my savings fund. Christmas. 39 weeks until Christmas, guys. Actually, I want to make sure that my Christmas money is available by the 14th of December. Yeah, so I've got time to go Christmas shopping, and I want to set aside £600. That's quite a lot for us. The last couple of years, we've done Christmas on substantially less than that, probably about half of that. But then the last couple of Christmases have been very small affairs. I don't know about you, but lockdown made it incredibly cheap. We didn't have the big feast. We didn't have lots of people coming through the house. We didn't have all the extra presents that we needed to buy when friends came over with their kids and all of that stuff happens. This year, I hope we get to do that. So I would like to have £600 set aside so that in 37 weeks, I've got that money to spend for Christmas. That means that every week between here and then, I'm going to want to put aside £16 so that by the 14th of December, I've got access to £600 in my account. We've also got things like birthdays. No escaping it. If you've got kids, you've got birthdays. If you've got parents, you've got birthdays. Now, we don't go mad because birthdays we like to get together for a meal. Usually we cook that ourselves because there are food allergies in our family. And what we like is we like homemade cakes. So, we don't set aside a lot of money for birthdays, but I do want to set aside, because of the size of the family and the youngsters that we've got involved, £300 per year For birthdays, no real date for that. That just needs to be on a rolling basis. And on a rolling basis, that means that I put £6 aside each and every week into my sinking funds account. That means that we are rolling at somewhere in the region of £51.50 per week that I'm putting into my sinking funds account. But here's what happens is you don't have the, oh my goodness, panic, Christmas is here. The, oh my goodness, the MOT is due. Oh my goodness, the car insurance is due to be paid and I've got no money. That takes all of that boom and bust, that robbing Peter to pay Paul, away from your budget, because you're planning it well in advance and you're just tucking away a little bit each and every week, each and every pay period, or each and every month, to make sure that by the time it rolls round to Christmas, the money is there. You are making sure that so much of the pain and the stress when it comes to managing your budget is taken away by taking a much more grown-up, longer-term view. It's not about what you have to pay this month, it's what you have to pay over the course of the year. And let's get organized. Now, you guys can have everything that you want in your future if you're prepared to go and set up a savings fund, a sinking fund, and go and start saving the money. So if you want a holiday this year, create the sinking fund, work out how many weeks you've got to go until your holiday, what is your budget, and that will tell you what you need to set aside every week, every pay period, or every month, so that by the time it comes for you to pay to your holiday, you can pay for it in cash. We're not doing a holiday this year because we've got a financial mess to clear up. I need to fill the emergency fund. We need to pay back the money that's been taken out and used. And then we can put in here all the rest of the sinking funds for things like a holiday, things like clothing allowances, things like perhaps a new car in the future, things like maybe refurbing the house, putting in a new kitchen, perhaps even putting in a new bathroom or an ensuite next to my things I would love to do in my house. Here is where you get to set a budget and start saving towards those goals. But it happens like this. Scorched earth budget. Make sure you are living on an absolute basic budget. Get your emergency fund paid. Be great when the £1,000 is sitting there in the account. I know that most of the emergencies in our life that happen on a day-by-day, week-by-week basis, £1,000 can make that go away. Pay down our debts. You want to be in a position where you get rid of the debts as quickly as possible, because the more money that you have control over from your income each and every month, the more you can go and create a plan to get you to that life you want in the future. And the way you create that life is by doing some research, setting a budget, deciding how long it's going to take, and start systematically saving towards that thing that you want. However big that thing is, you need to know what you need to do today in order to get you to that goal. Now, I've got a real big number goal that I'm going to be putting in once I've paid my emergency fund, it's fully funded. Once I have paid down my debt, my last goal in my working life is my FIRE number, my financially independent retire early number, a very big number that I know once I've reached that amount in my savings and in my investments, then I can retire and never work another day in my life. It's a big number. But when I'm at that stage of working on that, I know that I can work it down saying, I need this number. I've got X amount of weeks to get there, which means I need to save this amount of money to get there. I can only do that when I haven't got somebody else getting first dibs on my money, which means I am debt free and I've got free control over each and every penny that comes into my house, because that's what a budget does. A budget gives you control by telling you where you need to put your money in order to create the life that you love. So at the moment, because we are on scorched earth budget, we are on a personal survival budget, because we are from first principles refilling a £1,000 emergency fund. These are the only sinking funds that we're having. I know that when the emergency fund is full, we can come back in and we can add in clothing, we can add in holidays, we can add in saving up for the car, we can add in a white goods. I always used to have a white goods budget just in case the washing machine stopped working or the fridge freezer decided to not play fair or the shower didn't work, that there was money set aside in a household budget for that. And then eventually we will get on to retirement. Everything you want, you can have. You just need to be prepared to save for it. And here is where you set up these savings accounts. Now, I have a sinking funds account. It's one account where all of this money gets put in every week, every month, every pay period, so that I can draw on it when these periodic but planned account expenses happened. You know, you may decide to have more than one account if you're saving for things like holidays, or you're saving for a new car, or you're saving for a refurb of a house. At the moment, because I've got a really small list of sinking funds, that's okay. I can track this on paper, but all of this money just ends up in a sinking funds account, one simple account, to keep things simple, because that's what we're doing. Money should be simple. In fact, it should be really boring. You should be able to set a plan and then just follow the plan. The sinking funds are about creating and following a plan for the life that you want. A life where you don't have to not eat in January because you've overspent on Christmas, where you don't have to pay credit cards all the way through until August because you put Christmas on the credit card, and then you're behind in saving up for the Christmas to come. Instead, it's about slowly adding more and more sinking funds into your budget until you have got a plan that's going to get you to the life that you want. So I've got about £51.50, little over £200 per month going into sinking funds accounts, but that takes away a lot of the stress for me. I know that by the time it comes to pay my car insurance or my house insurance, that the money is going to be there. It's no more stress. Just need to make sure that I transfer the money and all of those panics go away. The more stable I can keep my finances, the more I can tweak the things that I'm comfortable tweaking, keeping my spending money lower, or upping my side hustle income, knowing that all of that money is going to get me to these goals faster. So your goal for today is to go and figure out what the very basics of your sinking funds accounts need to be. You can always add more. Absolutely. In fact, you should add more. But at the very beginning, I'm just looking to have the very basics ones in there until I've got my emergency fund settled up. And then I might add a couple more. As I'm working and chipping away at my debts, I can begin to clear a debt, add a little savings fund that's going to allow me then to create the life that I want in the future. So sinking funds are the way I take all the stress out of making sure that those periodic but predictable expenses can be met. And that's by saving this week. Absolutely making sure that you know exactly what you need to set aside in order to reach your goal of £600 by the 14th of December means that this week I need to put £16 into my sinking funds account. And next week, and the week after, and the week after that, all the way until December, in which case I'll probably keep going because I want to fund the Christmas 2023. So that's your task for today. Having a look at what your sinking funds are going to be. Keep it simple to begin with. You can always add more, but it's best when we are looking at our finances that we focus on one big goal at a time. The big goal at this point in my short-term goals, if you think back to your goal setting sheet, is to fill my emergency fund. I have £1,000 that I need to get into an account as quick as possible. Then we can come back and we can look at adding more of these, or we can look at widening the pots of money that we save for and chip down at our debts, but without having to do the boom and bust that happens throughout the year. So that's your challenge. Go and find out what those periodic and predictable expenses are and get those logged down onto a sinking funds overview sheet. Identify what you're saving up for. Find out, budget for what amount you're going to need to save up. Find out when the target date is. You need to know when you're going to be paying these. And of course, the way to calculate the amount you need to save weekly is the amount needed divided by the number of weeks until your target date. And that gives you the amount that you need to save each and every week. And you round up to be every pay period or every month. Go and open a sinking funds savings account, or designate a savings account that you've got now as your sinking fund saving account. And let's go and get organized. Go and get those filled so that the next time somebody comes looking for a big chunk of money for your insurance, the money is there. There is no stress. That's what I want for you. A very boring financial future, but one that gets you the life that you absolutely want. And that begins by having your plan. This is your plan for your future. Go set up your financial sinking funds, and I will talk to you again very soon. Bye.